Well, good afternoon. It's December the 23rd. It's Wednesday. Christmas is upon us. Tomorrow is Christmas Eve day. And I was reflecting on that, what one did on Christmas Eve day, or what priests used to do on Christmas Eve day. It's changed some now, I think, but I remember when I was first ordained in my first church, Advent was rather strict. You had nothing resembling Christmas, uh, although you might have a sprig of green inserted in the Advent wreath. But otherwise it was more like Lent. There were no flowers. It was not quite as penitent as Lent, but a very plain service as we anticipated and looked at looked forward to the coming of Jesus' birth. Now, on Christmas Eve day, then we spend all day long. I would have a church full of people hanging greenery from the rafters, putting up wreaths in between windows, bringing in poinsettias and arranging flowers, setting up the altar with newly polished silverware and newly cleaned white vestments, uh, uh, polishing and scrubbing everything till the whole church would shine and radiate light. All of this in preparation for midnight mass. And then the idea being when people showed up for midnight mass, the somewhat solemnity of Advent had been changed into the joy and excitement of Christmas, celebrating the birth of Jesus. A lot of that's changed now. I've been watching some Advent services on TV from other churches, and they've already got greenery, and in some places poinsettias out ready to go. Um, so not quite the same maybe, and maybe part of it is because of the pandemic. But things change. For good or ill, things change. And then I remember Christmas Eve services, midnight mass. One year, one of our guest musicians had two little girls who could not really make it that late, and so after the service, we found them both stretched out, asleep on the back pew, waiting for the service to end. I remember early on, I was in seminary even before I was ordained, Christmas Eve, and Kathy and I were at the cathedral in Lexington, and they have a great organ and a great choir, men and boys choir, that just, sound like angels. And we had a lady sitting in the box pew next to us, and the Christmas music would come on and the choir would sing, and she would just stand up and sing her heart out. Now, she wasn't singing anything that we were singing, but she was having a great time. We remember Christmas Eve services where people would, especially midnight mass, people would come from Christmas parties, three sheets to the wind, if you will. And I remember some of them realizing they kind of woke up halfway through the service and weren't sure where they were. That was always interesting. Or sometimes they could become a bit boisterous in the service. And I remember we had a lady in my first congregation whose husband had passed away on Christmas Eve years and years ago, but every Christmas Eve she sat in the church and during the Christmas Eve service, and she just sobbed and sobbed and sobbed and sobbed, and only on Christmas Eve, but you could hear her back there, and people tried to comfort her, but she just cried through the whole thing. Bless her heart. So we see all these things that used to go on. As my generation has gotten older, we see maybe fewer midnight masses, maybe because it's hard for us to stay up that late. Um, but things change, and so we have to be part of that change sometimes. Sometimes we resist it. Sometimes we like it and go with it, but change happens. We've experienced that change a lot this year. Always, we've had to learn to do a lot of things differently, and our lives have been changed. In the office today here at St. Stephen's, there have been a number of people in and out, but talking about how their Christmas celebration was going to be and how they were, you know, maybe some of them would have family in, maybe some of them wouldn't. Some of them might be like Kathy and I, who would just be the two of us for Christmas this year because travel was such a problem. Um, and for some, that hurts not to have your family with you. Um, for some, it's restricted activities. Um, we have pre-recorded our Christmas Eve service lessons and carols um, because we, don't want to meet together right now. So we hope you'll enjoy that. Um, and so we've dealt with these changes in some way, but sometimes we rebel against them, and sometimes we're not happy with them, and we don't know what to do with them. And sometimes we just simply don't like change. I remember as a teenager and into my 20s and probably 30s, I could be an advocate for change in some ways. Now that I've gotten older, that advocacy is maybe not quite as enthusiastic for some change. And sometimes I look at change and say, why do we need to do that? Yes, it may be new and avant-garde, but isn't the old just the same? I was just talking with Vera, our parish administrator, and we're exploring avenues for online giving to the parish for next year. And in part of that is not because that's new and exciting, but because the giving habits of people who come to church change. And so, we need to find ways to change to meet those challenges. And I think we can do that. So change. There was a big change in the stable in Bethlehem many years ago. We know the story. The Virgin Mary came. Joseph could not find a room for her, and Jesus was born in a stable. The other night with a group of clergy, we argued about the translation of that verse. There was no room for her in the stable, or in the inn. There was no room for her in the inn. Or would the translation say there was no place for her in the inn? And when we think about it, whether you're talking about is there room in the inn, or is there a place for her in the inn, the whole image changes. And I think it kind of hits us if we ask the question, is there a place for Jesus in our life? Not is Jesus in our life, but is there a place for Jesus in our life? Is there a place within us where the Son of God can reside? Is there a place where he can come to us and we can meet him? Is there a place? Room, maybe? Place? I don't know. To say, is there room for Jesus implies a space. Is there some place in a room where he can be? To ask if there's a place for Jesus takes us down a whole different path. Think about it. Maybe we could be changed this year. Maybe we could find a place for Jesus in our hearts. Maybe we could change a little bit. Maybe not wholesale change, but a little bit, little things. Is there some place, somebody in your life that kind of drives you up the wall? Is there a place for them in your life? Can you try being nice? Is there a place in your life for the homeless people who may stand on street corners asking for alms? Is there a place in your life for love to grow for and get deeper for your children or your wife? Is there a place in your heart for yourself? A place where you can find forgiveness? A place where you can find a certain amount of love for yourself because you are invaluable? Is there room in your heart for change? Jesus has come to us to change us. He has come to us to offer us an image of God. He has come to us to be the sacrament of God, if you will. He has come to us to show us what God is like, and that we too, in many ways, can be godlike. Things change. I think the most important thing that can change is you and I, that we can grow. And so I hope this year that you have a place in your heart for Jesus. I hope you have a place in your heart for him who tells you to love your enemy, to give to those who need, to lift up the downhearted, to bind up the wounds of those who hurt, to feed the hungry. Is there room in your heart? Is there a place in your heart? Tomorrow night, Christmas Eve, somewhere, somehow, we will celebrate the birth of Jesus. On Christmas Day, I hope that you will say to Jesus, maybe publicly or just in your private prayers, Jesus, I have a place in my heart for you, and I invite you to come and share that place. that where you are, I may be, and that I will know the good news of the Christmas message. All of you have a great Christmas. Celebrate, sing, have a drink, enjoy the celebration of a birth. A new baby is certainly something to celebrate, and this is certainly some baby. Merry Christmas to you. Have a good one. Bye-bye.